to you.
Thank you, Rita, for that amazing intro. I'm not a person of intros, but I'm happy to be here, and I'm excited to be working with all of you. I hope that yesterday and today you have had an opportunity to challenge yourselves, to innovate, think about an idea that you can convince us to see that we work with you so that that idea can grow. Now, I strongly believe that we have managed to come up with ideas, but the process is going to be very simple. We would want you to come here, present your idea with clarity and how that idea is going to work. You may share an idea, and as an organization, we may not have all the infrastructure and resources to support you grow that idea. We are very much willing to recommend, but also continue to work with you. I know some of you are from the tech world. The ideas that you have cannot even fit in this room. So we want to see how we can work with you to make sure that from initiation of this idea up to execution, that the idea is good and can help this country as far as misinformation is concerned. So when you come to present, I personally expect that you are able to articulate your idea, your innovation, and how this innovation is going to work. That's very, very important. Very, very important. What's the innovation? How is it going to work? And what problem is it solving? So with that background, I believe, unless Ali has something to add, but I believe we are good to go, and we are all winners, like we said, really. So for me, I'm just here to cheer you and share some feedback with you. Thank you so much.
Oh, can we give him a hand clap at least? Thank you, Antonio, for that background. And I think because of time, we'll dive right in. And the first group that is going to take the stage first, that is going to convince us here and excite us as well, is Angela Mulikatete's group. The floor is all yours.
Maybe to emphasize, you have 5 minutes, and the 2 minutes will be used for feedback. Yeah, so 5 plus 2, that's 7, dearly. 5 your minutes, and you hear from us in just 2 minutes. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Um,
browser, whether you're on a computer or a mobile phone. And as you browse the web, this plugin is able to highlight and check for you and highlight that this might be a wrong narrative. Click here to find out why. But as we do this, we have to look at different media channels. We have to conduct street interviews, first of all, to expose what is out there that is misinformation. We have to consult with the actual people in the villages and the cultural people so that we get the actual facts. We have to now produce podcasts, share on YouTube, do articles or blogs, create a website where we share all this information so that people can be able to get the right information that they need online whenever they are browsing things to do with their culture. And then back to you, Angie.
Okay. Yes. Another fact. Did you know that actually Uganda is one of those countries with a largest ethnic? We are here to inform and debunk the misconceptions we have about our cultures in Uganda. And our target market is youth. Why? Because youth will form the largest percentage on the Uganda's population. And then we made research that amongst the existing, like what we have in culture, we have culture festivals like the Kadodi, but that is specifically for Bagis and one of the widely known festival. However, we as Culture Truth, we are here, one of our long-term goals we have is organizing culture exhibitions whereby different cultures gather. We exhibit what we have in our culture, like traditional attires, languages, food, different culture things we have in our different cultures. And then with the research we made, actually there's no fact-checking initiative about the information in our cultures, and that makes us to stand out so unique. How are we going to do this? We're going to do this in 4 phases. We're going to do, in the first phase, we're going to do the planning and research. Phase 2, we're going to do the content creation. In phase 3, we shall do the market and branding, and then we shall do the launching in the last phase. We need some resources to support all this. We need funding. We need partnership like with MCI, because let me say we're doing the exhibition, we can need the space, we can partner with MCI, the different partners. We need the technical expertise. As you've heard from our solutions, we need the extension that we need to install in our browsers. Let me say when you're browsing information about the culture, it can alert you whether it's wrong or right. And then as a team, yes, and then so, with Culture Truth, we shall be able to change the African narratives about Ugandan cultures. Let us watch this video, like just a sneak peek.
Something most people don't know about Uganda.
So the Bantu people are a group of indigenous people found in Africa, and that's where the Baganda tribe originated from, which can be found in northern Uganda. And the Bantu people can also be found in other parts of eastern and south Africa.
Where are you from? Something most people don't know about Uganda. Something most people don't know about Uganda.
From this video, this person, she's a Ugandan. When she was asked about Uganda, she said Baganda are from northern Uganda. Check the following 3-point-something K. And down the hashtag is facts. Imagine all those people being misinformed that actually Baganda from northern Uganda, right? Are we sure that all those people made an effort of fact-checking that? No. So we are here as Culture Truth. Let's join us in the fight against misconception, and together, let's preserve and protect Uganda's culture heritage. I remain Angela Mulika Tete for God and my country.
Okay, thank you, Angela Mulika-Tete, for sharing about this innovation. It's interesting. I've not heard people want to share truth about the different cultures that we have as a country. So that puts you in a better position to run. I have a few questions around the extension is it going to take you to have this extension in place? And how does the extension work exactly? Because you have talked about quite a number of things, but you didn't talk about exactly what the extension will be doing. Yet you seem to focus more on debunking misinformation and myth, like you called them, using the extension. But again, I also saw that you'll be creating videos and all that. So all these things are in there. So how do they all come into play? That's one question I have for you. The other is around, okay, something that I noted. I think I'll ask this after maybe getting an answer from you about that exactly.
My name is Rodney once again. How the extension is going to work is we talked about earlier about consulting and getting information from our cultural leaders, and we have the different cultures. So once we get this information, the first step of building an AI system that can actually be able to interpret anything is we have to gather information. And once we do that, if you have used any extensions in a browser, like maybe grammar for improving your spellings on in your browser when you're typing, it cuts across all web pages you visit. If you have used an ad blocker, if you try to visit a fake site, it's going to put a red sign and tell you, don't proceed. You're going to be scammed, this is wrong. Go back to the right source. So in a similar manner, what we intend to do is, we want to build an extension that has been trained on the right cultural information, and we have to spread awareness for this through different communities, educations, whether journalism or other media channels like we spoke of. And then through spreading awareness, this is something we can install in different browsers. And so when a person is browsing any website, be it Facebook or Google or any other image site, it's able to actually pop up a bubble and say, this might be a wrong narrative, click here to find out why, and it will give you the right sources. So that's how we intend to do that. And that ties into podcasts, because as we are gathering the right cultural information, we are creating content. And we are deciding, okay, this will go on YouTube, this will be an article on the blog, this will be on any other media channel we come up with.
So in terms of access to this browser, I want to know, how do you intend for a person like me to want to get on about this specific browser? Because you're saying you're going to install. So are you going to install on any person's machine? So I want to know exactly what is
Can
going
I
to
answer that?
happen. Yes.
It's not a browser. It's an extension.
The extension,
different.
yeah.
So, let me say, have you ever used Grammarly?
Yes.
It's an extension. Just install the extension, right?
Yeah,
It's
but
the
my
same
question is, how? I know Grammarly, you have to install it. Yeah. So the processes of making sure that we lead to that installation of this, that entire process. It's because I'm not just going to find, because I'm, how are you going to lead me to this very extension? It's not going to be automatically on my browser.
True,
Yeah.
true. So how we lead people to use these extensions, that comes down to the media channels that we actually use to spread the different information and the misinformation. Just like the clip on TikTok, we can show this is information, just install this browser plugin and it will take you to this page and you will see the right information. So we could actually make it interactive in a way that we use the misinformation to alert people and gauge people's interests about this browser plugin that can enable them find out the actual truth, to debunk the wrong information out there.
So I expected more of that in your presentation, not me to get it from you. Because at the end of the day, if this information is not clear, I don't know what we are going to innovate, what we want to do exactly. Yeah? And then the last in terms of pitch is from me, how I wish you had started with that video to have a better hook for your presentation. Because when you ask, ideally, if you ask someone in the audience, you have 5 minutes. I extended time for you, by the way, if you should know that. You have 5 minutes. You're engaging the audience. They are going to take like 1 minute or 30 seconds. That's more time for people coming. So you need to think about that. You would rather ask us to imagine in your presentation. Imagine about Karamoja, imagine about Bagisu, imagine about this. So that you're able to draw me to think about it. Than you asking, I respond, it takes more time. So then also, this gentleman, I felt he was redundant, so he just came in, did that small thing, and so you needed, in terms of engaging, how do you engage and have, than him being there standing as if, it's how you needed to find better way of working together as a team, even at the introduction level, at least Angela and the guy, like that, so that he's not coming as if he's not part of it. You just have to remember him at some point. Yes, Ali?
Great idea. I would like you to link your innovation to a social media platform. I'm a consumer of content on TikTok. And I don't have enough space on my phone to install any application, neither do I have knowledge of extensions. But I'm a consumer, a daily consumer of content. Could you link your innovation to me?
So before the extension part, before all that, so what we are trying to do, we create content. We first collect content, doing street videos. We include the subject matter experts like cultural leaders, right? We collect that content. We first relate the content we have, and then against the facts we've collected, right? Then with the content we have, we broadcast it on the TikTok. That's the social media platforms we have. We do podcasts. We shall do them on.
Angela, the highlight of your presentation is the extension. You get my point? It's not the content creation of local leaders and so on and so forth. And that's why we are picking out the video you played. It's already existing content. And it's already on different social media platforms. So, connect. I want you to link the extension to a mobile user who is consuming content using a platform like TikTok without space on their phone, and they also can't in any way install an extension.
Okay. Thanks for the feedback. That's something good. What I would say in regard to that is, if I'm not going to install the extension for you, at the same time you're not going to install an app on your phone, this is where that part comes in, of partnering with different organizations to come and combat misinformation. What does that mean? In organizations, they sometimes give people computers and say, use these computers when you're doing work. Sometimes they give them phones and gadgets and say, use these. But in some organizations, those computers or phones come pre-installed with certain either apps or extensions or things of that sort. So you, the end user, you are actually not installing or adding anything to your phone, but you're getting the benefit of being able to identify that misinformation. So it involves partnerships with...
Did you give us a picture of the partnerships you need then?
No, we didn't put a picture of the partnerships.
Okay, lastly then, convince me that you have a unique selling point in your innovation.
When it comes to misinformation, misinformation is mostly found online. Most people look at creating chatbots. Most people are going to look at creating websites or blogs. But like you said, you're an offline user, you don't want to install an extra app on your phone. You may not be the person who wants to install maybe, or go to a particular website just to find something. What we do, or how we are different from others, is an extension cuts across all websites you visit on your PC. It cuts across all websites you visit on your phone.
So which partnerships do you need to do that?
In order to do that, we just need to partner with, let's say, companies that are in media to inform, because this is journalism, these are media channels, this is how...
It's broad.
It's
You
broad,
see,
yes.
It's broad. And that's why you are fidgeting to give me clarity. You see, I've not installed the extension.
True.
I've not downloaded anything. And I'm consuming content that you've just showed us. And then, in between content and my device, is lack of your solution. Do you get my point?
Yes, I get that point.
In between the content, the and the consumer, the solution is not there. So it's a brilliant idea. However much I think you need to process more so that you scale down to something that is achievable. Otherwise, the idea is there, it's brilliant, but still broad as per execution is concerned. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Let's go for this team. You have something interesting that you need to think about more, especially how do I, like the question I asked, how do I reach to this extension? Because if you are getting into fast creating content, so we want to know, where are we? Yes, think about it creatively. There's something good in there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Angela, and your team. Panange, our audience, can we give our people a hand clap? It's not easy to be here. It's not easy. If we called you here, you would also see. Thank you, Group 1. I think that's been a very insightful start. For the coming groups and the coming individuals, I think now you know what it's like and how to go about it. So while the judges are finalizing on their discussion, I would like to invite our next person, and that's Livingstone Ahimbisiwe. You're very welcome.
Names of Ahimbisiwe Livingstone. I have been in a field of innovation for around 6 years. So, based on this project, I had first consider it. I analyze based on the existing issues, not only on Uganda, but in the whole world. My solution came after when I read on the website of Debunk. After when I read on the website of Debunk, how they debunk the information, how they create the content. So I was like, what if? Then I come up with a small, let me call it like a small word. What if you use a sieve to catch a thief? That's the solution I first came with. My platform here is Trust Social Journalism Platform, of which I generated the idea from the platforms like Facebook, Instagram, because most of the people, when they are getting information, they read posts either from Facebook, either from Instagram, either from news websites. So I was like, when someone is having, let's say, poor living, is living on a bad condition, what do? You create a rescue center or you build a home. So if we have been having issues of social networks whereby wrong information is shared on those social networks and you can't control those systems, what do you do? One, what you should do with this social network of ours, first go back on the first years. This social network of ours, you connect trusted news sources and journalists, of which you are the ones to control which information passes on the system, than just being fed by other platforms. So I used here a simple research whereby privacy issues on WhatsApp were handled by other platforms by creating alternatives using the same technique. Use a thief to catch a thief. Here, there is a Signal and a Telegram. After facing that issue of privacy policy, they had to come in with the main aim of privacy policy. That's their area now. Same features, but different strategy. So if we are having a social platform whereby all contents, either from Uganda, either from Kenya, either from China, are being fed in by trusted journalism or trusted media houses, let's say NBS, we are able to control what you should post, what other users should see. Go on the next slide. Now here, everyone knows how to use a smartphone. That's number one. So there is no need like to say I'm going to target people of 18 years, to target people of this. Everyone in the current situation, whether in senior 6, whether in P7, they know how to use Facebook. So if here we have created a platform and we have partnered with some media houses to, let's say, to market the platform, to contribute on the contents, now it means that we are the mother of the whole system. Next slide. Yes, this is what I was telling you. Signal and Telegram. And most people, they use to, when you are sharing like a private information, you find yourself, you have switched to Telegram. And most NGOs, they use Signal. Because of that privacy thing, WhatsApp remains, Signal remains, Telegram remains, but with different ideas. Another, my simple illustration here. Now, A, B, C, and D. Now those are trusted journalists. Let's say we have registered someone from MCI, we have someone from NTV, we have someone from, let's say, NBS, or else others they can come in because we know every journalist has a story to tell. So others who can register, we verify their profiles, we verify their contents, then we blue tick them with that check mark, so as they are trusted, we know what they will share, we will be the ones to control. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that one illustrates the people who are receiving the trusted information from our platform. So continue. I tried to summarize this because we didn't have enough time, but what I had, the technical know-how, and how this one can be implemented. As I have illustrated in the first diagram, this is the description of it. You can proceed on the next. Yes. One of the core and the concept of this platform is account creations. If you have created an account, we know what you will post and we will be able to control than just being fed by other people. User-generated content, the main content of any social platform, there is content reaction. If we have shared a wrong or a false information, how are other people who are informed, let's say from the exact place, going to react about it? Then we are having creator rewards. Most journalists, they share wrong information because they are not getting anything from journalism. But let's say whoever creates a content on the platform gets some reward in the form of tokens or points, of which they can be converted into any reward, either money or something else. Because the system here will be recording every content you share and the quality of it and be converted into the points. User roles here comes with administrators. They are trusted users, and of course you can't forget about fake users. So with user roles, if you are not a trusted user, how are we going to handle you? What we do with the user roles, you limit the features of the system and what you can do with the system, either when it's an app or using a website, which features are you going to be using? Languages. You may be having someone who is only fluent in Kiswahili or in English. So when it's translated, let's say in Uganda, we're having Kiswahili, we're having English, we're having Chinese. Every information coming on from the platform is easily accessed by the one concerned. Account verification, I talked about verification, which is that blue tick or is a green tick according to how you set it, whereby if that one is having that tick, is a verified source. You truly trust.
Time is up.
Content distribution, let me finalize, madam. Content distribution, here we are going on how your content will be distributed to the audience. Here we came up with a mobile app on Android and another one on iPhone and a website. Those are three main platforms. Whereby if at all you're a high-class person, you're having iPhone, still you can get a trusted information. The relevant examples, we have this.
Ahimbisiwe, thank you.
Yes.
This is great. Yeah. Oh, are you clapping for Ahimbisiwe? Is it because he's alone that he...
This thing is a bit wide.
All right,
that's why
Ahimbisiwe. That's why we gave you 5 minutes to fit within the 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But you've done so well. So, Ahimbisiwe, where have you benchmarked your innovation?
Yeah, I have told you I have been in the field of tech for 6 years. I have been doing, wait a bit. I have been dealing with different kinds of such issues. So here the requirements, you didn't go on the next slide, so as I can show you the requirements and how you can handle the project.
Ahimbisiwe,
yes, sir.
Where have you benchmarked your innovation?
Since it's a new innovation and it's not yet in the field, basically it's still an idea.
Of course it is new. But who is in the market that has used the same approach?
Yes.
And maybe you are doing something different?
Yes.
You see? Because in the end it is something new, but it is relying on existing systems and technology.
Yes.
So where have you benchmarked?
Yeah, one example is this Nile Post News, but for it lacks social journalism. It's having content which people can rely on as a trusted source, but coming from a single end, which is limited. But now if we want to, let's say to handle someone who doesn't know English, of which Nile Post brings, what can you do? That's why you bring in more people who are trusted sources.
How do you interest journalists to be part of?
One, I added creator rewards, because we know every journalist has a story to tell. So if there is any small kind of motivation, of which you can get through grants or through adverts you collect from the platform, or any kind of the revenue you generate from the platform, it's where you distribute some of the percentages to those people.
How many journalists are you looking at?
Even if they are like 5 million journalists.
Thank you. Take me through the budget.
Yes.
Based on 5 million journalists.
Now let's say you have got 5 million active users on the platform. Because content creators, they vary with user interaction and the revenue. That's how the system works. Users, creators, and the revenue you are getting, then you get a percentage, you distribute. Let's say you have generated, let's say 1 million from adverts. If you added, like, you will be distributing 10% of it to content creators. They are good creators and wrong
Ahimbisiwe.
creators. Yes,
Ahimbisiwe.
sir.
Of course, I'm the judge, yeah?
Of course,
So when I call
understand.
you, you stop.
Yes.
Ahimbisiwe, we are not working on assumptions.
Yes.
I want to see the calculations realistically of the expected users, expected amount from advertisers,
Yes.
collections,
Yes.
and how you distribute that amount.
Now,
to-
here the answer is, if you implement, you are going to distribute, let's say, 10%. Or another approach is, you
Show
can
me,
say
please
every
show me.
article.
Show me.
There is no slide of it.
Assumption.
Yes. Now I wanted
That's
to
okay.
explain it in this
no,
way.
no.
Yes.
It's not there.
It's not
So
there.
therefore, it's not there.
Yeah.
Antonio.
Another
thank you.
thing before you continue, I answer that question.
Yeah, okay,
Through
fine.
partnerships.
Yes.
It's where you can still get content creators, trusted journalists. Let's say you have partnered with NBS, you have partnered with the NTV, you have partnered with MCI, you get content creators you need. That's another approach.
Thank you, IMBC, for sharing about the social network.
Trusted social network.
Yes, trusted social network. Now, the key to this network is trust.
Yeah.
Very,
Trust
very important.
and fast news.
And you know, trust and fast. And I hope you are aware that people who share false information most times are not trusted.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
That means your platform is not catering for those people
Who are not trusted.
who are not trusted.
Yes.
Okay? So what that means, it's a limitation upon a limitation.
Yes.
So then it may not serve the purpose of countering misinformation through media literacy. I will give you an example. In Uganda, we are headed towards elections. And the people that are going to be spreading misinformation may not necessarily be trusted people.
Yes.
Or they may not belong to that platform. Okay?
Yes.
That means misinformation will continue the other side because your side is only getting a few who are trusted.
Yes.
So that's why I call it a limitation
Yeah.
upon a limitation.
Oh,
First
no.
wait.
Yes, sir.
And the other thing is, you see, because you are picking a limited number that is trusted, I see your platform as a limitation to freedom of expression. So I want everyone, how are you making sure that everyone can express themselves freely, but also fight misinformation through your platform?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, because on this section, we are not dealing with demos or like testing the system practically. That's why you can't see most of those features. Because if you decide you want to allow anyone to post, whether false or good, it's just a matter of allowing through the user roles. That's why it's called a platform, not just a simple thing, of which you can anytime modify, turn it on the way you need. When there is a need of, let's say anything, you just modify or you turn on a setting. You continue. Yeah, that's all I can answer with that.
Thank you. Let's clap for IMBCwe. Maybe the innovation that we are supporting is around like 5 million Uganda shillings.
Yes.
And the rewards, do you have money already or you intend to use on this to ensure that the reward system will work very well? Where are you going to get that for journalists to have those rewards?
Of course, a platform can sustain itself. That's what I told you at first. When you are creating a system, you first calculate how it will help itself to grow or without dying. Now, the more you get, even if they are 10 people, you budget for those people through, let's say, grants, sponsors, or through advertisements. That's the simple answer I can give. Then on the side of the budget, I have some of, on the resources, few of them is the knowledge on how to create a system. Another resource is having gadgets, of which I can need from you is a hosting, a domain, and man, of course, on that budget.
Okay, my last question, apart from trust,
Trust, yeah.
trust, what makes this platform unique from any other existing platform?
One, it's being made by local people who can control it. That's one unique thing. Because most of these platforms we are seeing, they are controlled by people we don't know. We don't know the technology behind it, we don't know the algorithm. But for this, you are the one to implement. That's one. And news platforms, they lack features of user interaction, whereby you can react on the content, you can either share or you can comment. Those are the most features lacking on the news platforms, of which I can implement.
This you don't need to respond. You say that they vote by the different people that we may not know.
Yes.
I don't know if in Bispe you have your own infrastructure that you are going to use to develop this platform. You don't need to respond. You don't need to respond.
Yes.
So I don't know, because it might take you ages to even create this system. If you're going to depend on your own infrastructure to make sure.
You didn't read on my timeline.
Yes, but it's okay. I'm only wondering, because if you say it is made by you, the local person that we can, others are created by different people. Yes, that's very true. It's you and Mbisiwe is going to create this platform, but using whose infrastructure and technology?
The infrastructure I told you on the resources, one is the domain and hosting, of which most people are using in the technology. That's the infrastructure. The more you grow, the more you buy servers. Full stop.
Another round of applause for Livingstone. Thank you, Livingstone. Very well done. Very well done. And I think right about now, I would like us to join me in welcoming our third judge. She just walked in, the lovely lady, the one and only Bella Twinny. You're welcome. Do you want to say hello to the people?
Hi. I'm so shy. But I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to see you. I can't wait to listen to all your pitches and beautiful ideas. Yeah, and probably future collaboration for us on our part. Yeah.
All right, welcome, Bella. Okay. So, after hearing from our lovely judge, I think right about now, I would like to invite the next group for Martin Mugambe. Please, as you come, kindly remember to keep time. It's strictly 5 minutes. We don't want to cut off your microphones. The floor is yours.
Hello. I'll start right away because we don't have that much time. My name is Martin Mugambi. Together with my colleague, Gad, we are a team of 5. Our other 2 colleagues are in the background. And I hope our slides have started playing. And yes, This is what we are working on. We are countering mis and disinformation in Uganda's tourism industry. Now, to give you some bit of a brief background, trying to catch up with the slides, this is the contribution of our tourism industry in Uganda, 1.37 billion USD. That is 3.64% of Uganda's GDP, according to a report from UBOS and the Ministry of Tourism from 2023, most recent. This means this is quite a big sector. So whenever it is affected, we feel the pinch. Another thing you should know about the tourism industry is it is a very information-sensitive industry. Later on, we shall see about a story from the Daily Monitor. It was from, I think, March last year, about over 8,000 cancellations. There were 8,000 cancellations. Why? Because of the information that was spread around Ebola in Uganda. And now, until right now, people still cancel their trips to Uganda because they think we are affected by Ebola, or we still have Ebola. But Uganda was declared Ebola-free as back as January 2023. But till now, people are still considering us as an Ebola-affected country. And I continue to tell you how big it is, 1.6 million people directly employed. We are talking about direct employment, the owners of companies, the people who they are employing in their companies, but there are people who are indirectly employed. People like me, I'm a digital content creator for hospitality brands, hotels, and tourism companies. So I might not be part of these figures, but I earn quite a lump sum from tourism. And probably that explains why I'm fighting for it. Yes, we go on. This is the story I was talking about, if you can see it. I think we can continue. Next slide, please. So, what's our solution to the problem at hand? We are providing real-time information via different platforms. And our key platform will be a website that gives real-time news, accurate blogs, and through other multimedia formats. We shall also be doing media visits and community sensitizations. Why? Not everyone can be online. Not everyone can access a website. But some of the people who are spreading this information are not as straight as on a website. They are putting out social media posts. They are putting out videos on YouTube that may not necessarily be from a website. So sometimes we need to join the devil in his speech and play with him. That is why we are going to these platforms, because the people who spread this misinformation are right on those platforms. And our catchy thing is that our website will be very, very interactive. My colleague here is a web developer, and he will tell you more about that. Let's see the next slide. Now, as I told you, the tourism industry is a very information-sensitive industry. People will read about a destination. If you're doing booking for a tourist, you first read about the destination, its current security measures. Is there a war? Has there been any landslides? What's the weather like? So people actually do read the news from all these destinations they are taking people to. And part of our target audiences will be tour operators, both local and international, because we also realized while looking out for anyone who might be doing it right now. And we can only point out the media houses or the mainstream media, but they do it on a very minimal scale. They do it when need arises, when it's really huge, when they are saying 3 tourists were killed in Queen Elizabeth National Park, and that is only one incident. That is the only time they will come out. Now, I can tell you for a fact that right now, and for the coming about 5 months, no one will be able to hike to the highest point in Uganda. You know why? Because we have a glacier there. Ice broke, so it is no longer secure or safe for tourists to use that path that takes you to the Margarita Peak. And it was only a press release that I saw, because I work in the tourism industry. I was able to access this information, but I am yet to land on a blog or a story that is really emphasizing this information that is telling people that however much you cannot access the highest point in Uganda, there is the Cheptegei Peak, which is very beautiful. And these are the measures that the ministry is putting in place so that you can, in the next moments, be able to go to Margarita Peak safely, because they are building a safe path. And us, we shall be giving this timely information all the time, because this will be a casual job, at least to do it more frequently than everyone else is doing it. Can go to another. Yes, as we told you, the existing solutions are those, but they are doing it on a very low scale. Thank you very much, and my colleague will catch up from there.
Thank you very much. Once again, I'm Chamwendo God. Our unique selling point, literally, will rotate around our website. Believe me, when you make research, you will find out that most of the websites existing, that is in the tourism industries, should term it as they are static, due to the fact that some information in the tourism industry is static. Most of the information, like someone would tell you Maction Falls are the strongest falls in the world, definitely that's static and it's not going to change. So most of the websites have this information. In the other hand, these websites are not interactive. So our website is basically going to be an interactive website. How? There are various features that determine an interactive website. We have, first of all, we will have high quality visuals. Those are the graphics on our website. And we will have interactive apps, that is the links to our social medias. We will have interactive information like feedbacks. Those can be done by they are termed as newsletters or feedbacks. Those could be ratings, such that if I'm a tourist, I traveled with you, I can rate you, or I can take a picture of the place we went to, give feedback. Then we will also have some more time, please. Then we will have the, sorry. All right, thank you. And before we go to the interactive website, we'll have also regulations. Those are from the regulation authorities. We are going to work with the Uganda Wildlife Authority. Now, this authority work hand in hand with it, such that our site has bots and various AIs. Now, these AIs are going to capture and get misinformation that is in the tourism industry hand in hand with our platforms, social media platforms, and YouTube. Now, this is going to help us in such a way that all the information that is coming around, when we have collaborations with the authorities, we can still take you to the law when you give misinformation to the public. And we have an implementation plan, registration. That is, then we will go to our social media platforms. Definitely we will make research, which research will aid the content on the social media platforms, and that will help us to create content for our website in the next month. So literally the website will be up and running in the second month. And the resources, as you see, the labor is already catered for. We will need a laptop, digital camera, functional fees. Then the sustainability plan, as for us, our website, definitely with our social media platforms, with YouTube, once we reach 5,000 subscribers, 33,000 viewers, we will have some payment, and for the website, we will...
Okay. Thank you, Martin and God. Thank you so much for sharing and contextualizing the issue that you want to focus on. I run a website. It is very, very interactive. It seeks and provides accurate information. And it links people to different platforms where they can find accurate information about that very website. And I'm wondering, how is my website different from yours? apart from your website focusing on tourism? Two, what exactly is the innovation that you are pitching? I want to understand. And how does it work? I've given you my background. I want to understand. What is this innovation that you're pitching to us?
I'll quickly answer that. As I gave you the background of the tourism industry, it is greatly affected by information, current information, because this is the process of booking for a tourist. They will be in London. I'm giving an example of London, and maybe there is Virgin Travels in London, a company from there that is booking for them a safari in Uganda. What they will do is to call Laban Safari Tours and Travel in Uganda so that they can make business as companies. I think it's called DMC. This is a destination management company. But before Virgin Tours books, they'll read all the information about Uganda. Now that is uncontrolled. If it is a media outlet that put out something that like that, people who put out that we still have Ebola, yet Ebola was announced off in January, they will take that. And ours is to provide information, not only through a website, but we can be the trusted source of this information. You might be confused because there is no name for the project yet.
No, I'm not confused.
Yes.
I'm only wondering what is the innovation? And I will give you time. I want to add this. I asked you this question earlier on. On a scale of 10, how often do you find misinformation around tourism?
Yes, because that comes on my desk on a daily. I think I encounter out of 10, about 3 false stories from the tourism industry. And that, most of them are usually about Uganda because the whole package might not even be in Uganda only. There are tourists who want to do Kenya, Uganda, and Rwanda. And in actual sense, maybe Kenya has floods, like the recent floods. But the way that information is put out is so, I don't want to say it's limited, but it is mitigated, it is controlled. And the one in Uganda, because the authorities really limit on the information that is coming out.
In just one statement or sentence, what is your innovation?
A platform or an organization that gives credible real-time information about destination Uganda.
Okay, thank you. This book can ask.
Thank you so much, Gad, and your colleague. I also had the same question. And for me, I have seen misinformation around tourism as well. Particularly, it was the president's account. And the president, I think the handler, probably tweeted something with an image of a waterfall, probably from Zambia or Zimbabwe, and everyone actually jumped on it until a foreigner, a white person, said, no, these are in another country, and I've been there personally. And people are saying, no, you're racist, how can you not believe that it's in Uganda? And when you actually Google, you'll find that all tourism, what do they call them? Those guys who bring people into the country, the tours and travel people, yes. They had the same picture. If you go to Google and reverse that image, you'd see that everyone has that image, yet it's from another country. And I'm thinking if your way of debunking that is a platform, I don't know how you would counter that in real time for someone who wants to get real information on Twitter and is already seeing that image. Would you now write a story, take it to your Twitter, to your platform, then upload it, and then share it on that platform? Like, what's your process like? Because we are creating for the user, not for ourselves, remember? While we are passionate about tourism and we know how it works, we also don't know how the other people feel about how we are creating these processes of debunking. So I'm thinking probably something like TripAdvisor or something that would be catchy would be a good fit for you. But I was also wondering about the same thing of how do you get to the end user? Yeah.
I think I can answer that. So how we get to the end user, first of all, this site or our organization will partner with various other organizations and as well the tour and travel agents. So our site is going to definitely link with their sites. So all the information that they post, already our site has bots included and AIs, and their GDPR protection securities. Now this helps to certify the information, in that we are working hand in hand with the authority. That means we can first get first-hand information from the authority, then these people can publish. As well, if they go beyond us or publish something wrong behind us, that information can be it can be removed from their platforms.
Can I take maybe a minute to add on something? So basically what we are doing isn't all about the website, even though our website is like our big foot. But we are saying we're a community because our team is quite huge. We have us who are journalists, writers and all, and we have the tech guys, the builders. Martin is over there, he's also another tech guy. But we are also doing sensitizations, as you saw. We shall be doing media visits. And our notch is that we are not sitting back and waiting for misinformation to go out there. Most of the work that we shall be doing, if you see on maybe our papers that we shared, is building or nurturing an informed community. Most of the times when you notice information that is wrong, it is not because you know all of the facts, but it is because you've been nurtured and been empowered with a lot of knowledge that you can sense, oh, this is wrong, this is what is right. So we shall be going down to the casual person, but I'm a fan of soccer, so I'll throw something about it. There's what we say that the best way to defend is to attack. So, and this is what we are doing. We are coming at it straight. Maybe before you tell a lie, before you give a false image of the Rwenzori Mountains, we shall already have a lot of information about the Rwenzori Mountains in Uganda on our website.
Yeah, thank you for the efforts, friends. You know, my colleagues have asked questions, but I'm still struggling to find the X factor in your innovation. Before I even say the innovation, I'm still struggling to find an X factor in the idea that you are pitching. Because he talked about the website that he runs, Verify Uganda. And if anyone can share a claim, it can be debunked at that level. And then, no innovation. If anyone can share the claim she has just talked about to debunk media initiative, that means it's going to be debunked. And then this team is not left with an innovation. Do you get my point?
Can I say something?
Yeah, you're going to talk to me, of course. But then, my worry is, you talk about the website, and you've just scaled down to tourism. And the feeling is this can be a very good project that can be funded by the Uganda Tourism Board. Number one, it does very good PR for tourism of this country, for the tourism industry of this country. Number two, an idea that is struggling to be an innovation.
I don't read a lot, but from the little that I've read, I always keep one thing with me. Innovation isn't invention. To be honest, I'm not going to come and give you robots here. I don't have any. But this is what I have, and I'm sure it will work.
No, don't defend your no feelings
No, not
and
feelings.
bias the judges.
No.
We are asking, you
Yes.
need to convince us.
Yes.
My brother,
Yes.
talk to us and show us the innovation that you are talking about.
The-
So don't bias the judges.
There-
You know,
there
I'll
is-
not wait.
Yes.
I'll not bring robots. We don't expect robots. Maybe another person in our group will come with robots. But then show us the innovation that you are talking about.
Like we had earlier said, our innovation was giving the first-hand information. You know, misinformation is not like a plumbing problem that you can solve, but rather they are social factors or effects. In other words, these are things we can solve through adjustments. So this website is among the adjustments.
Thank you. But we have an existing website, Verify Uganda, doing the same thing. We have Debunk Media Initiative, which has an application. So why you convince me that I shouldn't add that money to Debunk Media Initiative to improve the existing infrastructures in terms of the application, in terms of the website? You get the point? So that I don't have to waste the resources on lubricating the existing idea.
Let me
Our
answer
issue
that.
is, let me answer shortly. You can't literally concentrate on the whole world or the whole country misinformation. But basically, we have a case study of the tourism industry. So we are working on the misinformation in the tourism industry.
Let me help you grow that idea. The number of things you can do around that idea. And we are talking about countering misinformation through media literacy. I want you to run your website. But as you run your website, you can have, you do all that. Huh? You can do all that. But for example, if we say you want to counter misinformation and you find better ways of sensitizing the public through this website. So ask yourself, what sensitization are we going to do? What innovation, what ideas can we, as we sensitize through this website, what ideas, what things can we do that when somebody listens to that, tourism, and the idea is in there, what exactly can you do? I have something already that I'm thinking about that you can do, but we can talk definitely. Yeah, so remember we are here to share ideas and learn. That's the most important thing. And I believe in learning. I learn every day, and I'm getting new ways of pitching, but also to sell what we do as an organization. So I wish you well. Let's wait and see how this goes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very well done, Martin and Gad. Let's appreciate our colleagues, you guys. It's really not easy to crack our heads, but very well done. We appreciate your courage, your thought process, and we wish you all the best. Our judges, do you need a moment to breathe? All right. So we can move on. Our next participant, Solomon Sargon. You're very welcome. Yeah, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. My name is Solomon, and I work with a media development company called Media Focus on Africa. Now, as a country, we are going into a season that is very important, that is so crucial, especially in terms of elections, in terms of democracy and peace, you know. 2026, whenever we hear about 2026, we know it's time for the ballot. It's a time to choose. Many of you have yes, sorry about that. Yes, I was still telling you that in this season of elections, a lot of information that is sometimes biased, sometimes it's true, sometimes it has sides. And coming to the topic of today, misinformation and disinformation, you should be clapping because I'm here, because you will be having real time and true. You should be happy that I'm here because when I implement this plan that I have for you today, no lies, you'll not have false information. And how am I going to do this? We know, I know very many of us are on social media, are on WhatsApp, and almost 98% of our news, we get them on social media. We do not read newspapers. We do not take time to, do television or radio, but all the time we are scrolling, and almost all the information we get is via social media. Someone sends you a WhatsApp, hey, Museveni is dead. Is it right or wrong? Now that is why I'm here, to make sure I disseminate information about the elections that is true.
Solomon,
Yes,
I understand your presentation is not with the technical people. So please, maybe if you can have the other person, then you work on your presentation, then we can continue. Or you want to go bare?
It's okay, but let me take it.
Okay, fine, please. So let's have the Rita, who is the other person who is supposed to. Are you able to find it now so that you can come back?
All right, we have a technical glitch.
Okay.
Please, technology is not our primary, So while Surgeon is figuring out what's happening, I think I would like to give the opportunity to our next person, and that is Shatra Musasizi. Showing up your best.
These ones, eh? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. As you've heard, that's my name. My pitch would be, and which is, I'm combating misinformation about the continuous floods. Continuous floods result into landslides in the Elgon sub-region. We all know what the Elgon sub-region is to the audiences, of course, back home and the whole country. It's not only the Elgon, but it's all over the country. But I guess to try to use the Elgon sub-region as my experiment. What is my project? My project will be a research paper. Since I'm a writer, I will not say I'll go for developing a website, whatever it is. I'll be doing a research paper that will take on all that. And of course, as I say, it's a project or an innovation. I do not think there is a project before that has done about, if we put in the Google search to talk about climate misinformation in the Elgon sub-region, I don't think we shall get such a paper. And every time as a writer, I believe when you write something like this, and it is distributed to the rest of the people who can access, the communities, the climate change departments in the country, NEMA, whatever it is, of course it calls for call for action. Please, next. Yeah, so, yeah, like I said, I'm a writer, so I think I wrote a lot, but there I was just trying to describe what the climate change is, and we all know what climate change is. About the combating misinformation in the region, I'll give an example of last 2021, sorry, 2022, but it came close to 2022, but it was 2021. When such figures, if you went online and you put in the flash floods that swept the town, you're going to see such figures. But that is quite figures that are really abnormal. So it means we as the media, we are not doing the right job, I should say. And not only the media, I do not know what it is if we are reporting such figures. Yes, people would have died, but you're talking of hectares and all that. I don't think we are giving the right figures. Maybe they might be right, but we do not do the fact checking. If you reported of such a number being displaced from their homes and whatever, what is next? Because after the floods are done, what happens next? So I think that's what all my project will be about, and calling around for action. Next, please. Yeah, like I said, misinformation, of course, significantly contributes to the development of public skepticism concerning climate change. And you know what, misinformation, especially with this critical topic right now, of course, it brings the anxiety amongst people. It brings people sad and whatever it is. So at the end of the day, if we reported the right numbers, it means even the people, especially the victims, are going to get help. Yeah, so next, please. What is the proposed solution? I think as me, the country as a country should look at how to combat this, but of course, by using us as the media. Like I said, as I'm a writer, it is through me or it's through you that the public or the victims and whoever is affected will get to know about this misinformation and how to get the information, and all about looking at the in-depth research that I think I'm going to do. And maybe looking at also the emerging technologies. The emerging technologies, already social media was there, but what can they do to use the social media? We have seen all these things being around. We recently had the 7th Water and Environment Week. How many people knew about it? Yeah, you can just see it's a handful of hands, but this is a topic, this is an event that should have been held, I think, back in the village, one of the villages. Let it be Kasese, whatever it is, but they decide they will hold it from Munyonyo, wherever it is. And I believe it's not the right thing. So that's my research topic will also include that. Next, please. Yes, so why is it important? Of course, as climate misinformation continues on the social media platforms and wherever, you know, and when you see when something happens, recently there was a flood of recent in Kasese, and someone will pick a video from Dubai and puts it up here. And of course, everyone will believe that this is Kasese. And of course, most of us, we are lazy to even go around and search and look and maybe confirm whether it is us or not. Why? Why are we doing that? It's because we cannot afford. So, yeah, they're telling me time up. Next. The target audience. before I look at the local community, me, I will be looking at the government officials. They are the people who can consume what I'm going to write, and mine will be published at ResearchGate and all that. Like I said, existing solutions, whether social media platforms, already the organizations, Debunk initiative itself, there are so many for Nile. They'll help me to do the research to, to bring up with a good document that we can use for the rest. What will be the unique selling points? This will be, I think, the very first thing to be written about, especially if I've gone for floods and landslides. And maybe getting to the local communities using the leaders with a talk show one, and maybe translating to their local languages. How will it contribute to the better media literacy? Of course, it will inform us as journalists to always go ahead and really do research and get the better information to feed the public. Next. Modernization strategy, of course, through partnerships. I've talked about InfoNile. Media challenge itself, the few of these, and there are people always there. The professors are always willing to help.
Thank you. It is good to know people that are before you. And when they speak, you try to avoid being biased. And I will try to do that. Thank you for the presentation. I think it is a good idea. I have read some papers around research in the area of fact-checking. So they are research projects. Which research projects inform existing problem to innovate. Okay? So I believe what you are sharing with us would be the first study for us to innovate, which is really a very fantastic study that any person can fund. It may not be an innovation that we would want to fund, but it's something that we can work together as an organization to have that published. In my office there is a title called Research, Learning and Development. So we can talk more. I don't want here to go into asking questions, but I believe it's a very good project that we can work on together. It may not necessarily be something that we want to fund for this purpose because of so countering misinformation through media literacy, that can inform the creation of an innovation. And that's my feeling. I don't know what others think, but yeah, that's the feeling I get. I don't know, my colleagues can add what they think, but we can talk more. Thank you for the context that you were able to give us, where you're coming from, and the context to this specific project that you want to work on. Yeah, thank you.
Very well done, Shatra. The writer in you we have seen, and that was very well done. Right about now, our next person, actually it's our group, ZAM's group. If you're here, the floor is yours. Please take the floor. Banang, let's clap until they get here.
frame, can we have their presentation?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Zam and is Aloysius. We are a group of 4 people, 2 ladies and 2 gents. Our project name is called the Radiant Voices. Yeah. Radiant Voices. We are enhancing media literacy through innovation in combating misinformation about people living with disabilities. Why we selected disabilities? In the spread of false information about people living with disabilities is a significant issue that perpetuates misconceptions, stigma, and discrimination. So disinformation can hinder the social inclusion and equal opportunities for the PWDs, affecting their access to education, employment, healthcare, and overall quality of life. Due to time, we shall just be like brief because it's wide. I don't know if we can explain everything or just speak.
It's your pitch, so you choose one.
Okay. There is a pressing need for strategies to combat this misinformation, ensuring accurate representation and fostering an inclusive society. There is a survey conducted by Disabled Persons of Uganda. It found out that 60% of Ugandans believed stereotypes and misinformation about PWDs exist out of 12.4% of Ugandans who live with disabilities. There is always...
Let me enter from there. Thank you so much, my colleague. The 60% you have seen, they believe that this misinformation exists. And I just want to zero it down. You may all be knowing that sometimes people living with disabilities, because of misinformation, we always find them in churches, pastors claiming to heal them. Our colleagues who live with albinism, you have heard about their Vaseline, which they use, that it causes cancer. So as Radiant Voices, that's why we have come to put a halt on this.
Proposed solutions. Yeah, key feature 1, adaptation of technology in form of websites, as in stroke blogs to spread accurate information and counteract false narratives, develop tools and features on social media platforms that allow users to report misinformation related to any kind of disability, advocate for policies that promote accurate information, dissemination, and penalize the spread of false information. Key feature 2. Okay. Key feature 2, education and awareness. Public education programs, advocate for inclusive education programs in schools, workplace, and communities to raise awareness about disabilities. Organize workshops and seminars led by disability advocates and experts to educate the public about the realities and challenges faced by PWDs.
Okay, I think someone in control room can rush because I see they're telling us about time. But first of all, in a time, okay, what are the unique selling points? For us, what we are saying, we are going to be translating our information into main languages, which are here in the country. But also we are going to be building credibility and facts by providing accurate information. We are a center of any information concerning people living with disability in Uganda. About timeline, first of all, we are going to register our project such that is legally licensed and operating. Can we request for 1 minute such that we summarize?
You can come and confirm.
We are requesting for some more minutes, please.
These are 5 minutes, but we are adding you 1 minute.
Okay, thank you so much. We are saying we are going to register it. Then after, we are in the long run, we are going to be visiting communities, health centers, disability shelters, and even our fellow media people, training them, because we believe we shall be a base, training them on misinformation and how to combat it. Next slide. Okay, these are the resources needed. We need web developers, human resources. We need funding, of course. We shall need a humble working space, and we shall have internet. Maybe let her take you to monetization and call to action, and we end.
We shall do partnerships and collaborations with fact-check organizations and also PWD organizations and policymakers.
All right, thank you so much. Please clap for ZAM's group. If you choose to pitch something, especially when it comes to the problem that you've identified, that means this is close to your heart. Am I right? So, randomly, since this is a problem that is next to your heart, could you share with us 5 claims you've come across around people with disabilities?
Okay, thank you so much. One, I talked about the Vaseline, our fellows who are living with albinism. They claim that it causes cancer. The next one, I also talked about our fellow people living with any kind of disabilities who run to church and other worship places claim to be healed, which is not sometimes the fact. The next one, you know people who live with clubfoot, the feet face opposite. You have had them go to churches again, to places like Katalema, and this can be corrected when it can be corrected when we have visited people who say it can be corrected early, but because of misinformation, they are going elsewhere. What else? Again, you have heard that when you sleep with someone, maybe living with albinism again, that you can actually be healed of HIV. And you have also heard many of our colleagues actually who get HIV because of their vulnerability and kind of disability. They can't defend themselves, and they even fear to talk. But for us, we are going to train them on how to talk and how to be open, such that the information is accurate and is available.
So from that, I think me and you need to draw a line between a claim and a stereotype. But also remember the other side, we have an opinion. Do you get my point? But at the same time, why don't you just write the fact-checking reports, then we publish them on the existing platforms? Because I'm failing to identify the innovation. Of course, there are story ideas as per fact-checking is concerned, but I'm failing to identify and innovation. Why don't you just write those stories and we publish them on Debunk Media Initiatives website, Verify Uganda, and so on and so forth?
Yeah, when you go through the hard copy of the presentation, it's somewhere there that we shall be like doing a corroboration and giving fact-checked information on our website.
Then there is no need to fund this project, because in the end, we have existing websites.
Yeah, but for us, we shall be like going to the field.
Yes, that is okay. Go to the field, work on the stories, send them to us.
So for me, let me ask, why do you need this money?
Sorry?
Why do you need this money?
Okay. Can I go? We need this money because Radiant Voices, we are finding we are going to be a center of any information about disability. Nothing else, like we are not going to be tackling any other areas. This is where our base is.
So you want us to give you money to create a website and provide information about? Okay?
Beyond that, we are going to be training, we are going to...
Which is really good.
Okay, thank
yeah.
you. Thank you so much.
So, the other question that may not necessarily be a question, but something I want you to think about. I came in a bit late. I want to understand the difference between the same question I asked these other guys, your website and any other website. What is because most sites actually, let me tell you, when you read websites, they provide, there's a, how can I call it? I don't want to say disability website, you forgive me for that. But it provides accurate information and people can access this information, understand all these myths and stereotypes being discussed in there. What you need to think about in your pitch, you to convince a person like me, there is an article, somebody wrote an article, when misconceptions lead to misinformation. So you could innovate around there. But now you are done with your presentation, so I didn't even. So please, that's really my feedback. But you get time to read about that. When misconceptions lead to misinformation, read that article.
As Bella comes in, what is your budget?
Okay, I believe it is the part, I think, because of time, it was the next slide. But we are looking
The slide is there.
Given the time.
Please, give us the slide so that we see the breakdown of the money.
No, we've not broken down the budget.
A lump sum. What is your budget for this project?
We are looking at 5M to...
Show me the breakdown.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not.
So you see where the challenge comes from, and it is just a lesson that the moment you pitch an idea and you don't have a budget, then you don't have a clear picture of the idea that you are pitching. It's just a lesson for you and people in this room. It's very key, because in the end, even when I give you this money, you will not implement this. Trust me. It's just obvious. So it is a key lesson to you that it's a must that you plan to have a clear budget. Otherwise, I wish you the best and have... oh, Bella is still here.
Oh, Bella.
They've said it all, but unique selling proposition is one of the most key areas when you're pitching. Also, the story should be close to your heart when you're telling us persons with disabilities and how you want to innovate for them. Organizations like Minority Africa are talking about persons with disabilities. Their website has actually accessibility tools that help people with disabilities access their content better. There's also other different organizations that are specifically targeting persons with disabilities. So what's your unique selling proposition? Also, when you're pitching, craft a story around your pitch. Do you have a relative? Do you have a cousin? Do you have a sister, brother, grandmother who has grown up with, a disability and you've seen them struggle with it? What information have you had about her that makes you think debunking is important? Because you might hear, albinism probably is witchcraft, or, if someone has cleft foot, then something happened to them, or their mother did something. There are those misconceptions, like he said, that will breed into misinformation. So have a story that would then touch the heart of the judge next time. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Very well done, Zam, and the team. Okay, very well done. As we get to the close, I hope for us that are here, we are picking at things one or two. Next time we may come back and still pitch our innovations. We may go back and sharpen them, but even still, for those that are going to have conversations, I think this has been a very learning point so far. And without further ado, I would like to welcome the next group, and that is Ijo's group. Yeah, so you're welcome. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Madam MC. We are cutting through the noise and are delivering the truth to empower and uplift people in rural areas. My name is Nahawa Sylvia.
And my name is David Ijo.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are the Fact Check podcast, and we are combating misinformation in rural Uganda. And misinformation is rampant in rural areas, leading to poor decision making, limited access to reliable information in rural areas, lack of digital sources. So we've made research. According to research, we believe that people in rural areas are already disadvantaged. They don't have enough digital sources. So they are vulnerable to they're already getting misinformation, or they're disinformed. Misinformation can be, someone can put out information because they believe that the research they've made is enough and true, and disinformation is in layman's understanding, you're putting out that information that is not right and people are conceiving it deliberately. It could be a political propaganda, but however much, all that is information that is not true and people are getting it. So you may ask me, we are dedicating this podcast. It is a podcast dedicated to discuss and debunk information and misinformation and disinformation tailored to the needs and realities of rural Ugandans. And you may ask, how are we planning to do this? We are planning to interview, we're planning to have guests and interview them, expert guests in those rural areas. And we are planning to have local language content and interactive segments in those particular rural areas. And here is a snippet of a podcast, an audio podcast of what we are planning to do.
Podcast dedicated to debunking mis and disinformation and providing accurate, fact-checked information. And I'm your host, David Ijo. Thrilled to have you join us on contributed to informed living.
I think in a world where misinformation can spread like wildfire, having a reliable source of truth is more important than ever. The Fact Check podcast is here to help you navigate through the noise and make informed decisions for yourself and your loved ones.
Well, with that being said, each week we'll bring you expert insight, community stories, and answer your burning questions. Listen, we'll tackle everything from common myths to the latest news, all in a way that is easy to understand and relevant to your daily life.
Now remember that you can be part of this conversation too. Send us your questions and topics that you'd like us to cover in future episodes. You can also reach us through our contact 0772 264 782. And do not forget to follow us on our social media platforms
At the Fact Check podcast for more updates.
Thank you.
You may ask me, why is this important? Now, as of June 2021, Uganda experienced a surge in COVID-19 cases, and with rural areas becoming increasingly affected. The Ugandan Ministry of Health reported over 60,000 confirmed cases, many in regions previously thought to be low risk. A study by the African Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reported that over 50% Africans surveyed believe they are at risk of misinformation about COVID-19 in Uganda. So we believe, had we had this particular podcast, because we've not seen any podcast that is dedicated to people living in rural areas and tackling people that are being affected by misinformation and disinformation, particularly in rural areas. So we believe, had we had that particular podcast, it wouldn't have been 50% of those people that were affected by the misinformation during that time.
Thank you so much, Nahawe. Next slide now. Our target audience, yes, our target audience, as she said, are the rural communities in Uganda, especially those who do not have access to digital tools. But also, we do consider the general audience, that is the general Ugandan population seeking reliable information. We consider the fact that in as much as we target rural setups, there is also what we call the urban rural audience that needs this. And competitive landscape, we do agree and understand that there are already existing solutions to this, like there are already fact-checking podcasts like Verify Africa, Debunk Media Initiative, and African Check. But what is our unique selling point? Our unique selling point here is the fact that we are fact-checking in form of a podcast, because there is actually no podcaster in Uganda that has embarked on fact-checking. So implementation plan, we have a plan of 6 months. The very first month, we intend to prepare a workspace. The second month, we intend to do research, content creation, but also setting up all the necessary platforms needed. Month 3, we intend to establish partnerships and air the first set of content. These partnerships are notable with radio stations, as I will explain later. And then the 4th month, we intend to continue content creation, but also airing of some of these podcasts. Month 5, content creation and evaluation on how our podcasts have performed. But then the 6th month, implementation of feedback. And then the necessary resources needed, we are seeking for $1,700 in funding. And this is broken down into 6 phases. Equipment, that is worth $350. Software upgrades, but also development, that is $100. Hosting and distribution, $200. Content production, $450. And contingency fund, or what we would call miscellaneous. I'm warned that it's time up. I kindly request for a minute to summarize, to just make a summary.
You have 30 seconds.
Okay, 30 seconds. How will we make this innovation better in terms of contributing to better media literacy? That is through raising awareness and awareness of mis and disinformation through podcasting, but also equipping listeners with better critical skills. And our distribution channels are through partnerships with local radio stations, through social media platforms, because we do consider the fact that a lot of misinformation actually goes through social media platforms, but also community listenership. Not forgetting a website, which will be our online office, for where all our information can be gotten from there. Our marketing outreach is community engagement, partnerships, and social media. Impact measurement, that is conducting listeners survey,
Time
but also
up.
engagement metrics.
Okay, thank you for sharing this. The presentation looks interesting. However, I have question around the podcasts and the rural areas. I don't know whether you have done enough research to understand podcast consumption in Uganda, especially your target audience. In terms of numbers, rate of 10, I want you to give me a rate later. You also talk about partnerships with the radio stations. I know it's not easy to partner with any radio station that you find. How do you plan to do that to ensure that your fact checks are played on those radio stations? Most times they ask for money to have these podcasts run. So knowing that the budget that you have can only take you to that far. So please respond to those, then I'll have one more.
Let me start by responding to podcast and rural areas. Rural areas are not so much alluded to the podcast industry, but then research shows that radio stations or radio content is the most reaching distribution channel in rural areas, and so podcast content is actually relatable, or what I would call a cousin to radio content, and that is where partnering with radio station comes in, that we shall do our podcast content here and then partner with the necessitated radio station to have this content aired on the radio stations based on these rural areas. Now, of course, it is not that we shall partner with every radio station, but it goes back to content. We shall look for content that we need to fact check in proximity with the area of a place, and what kind of radio station is located in that area. So, for example, recently when the whole of this idea came recently after the Premier League games got done. At the Nile Post, we did a fact check on a video that went trending on an Arsenal fan who purportedly committed suicide because Arsenal failed to win the Premier League. How did we do this fact check? We partnered with the locals because it purportedly came from Bali. So we said, whom do we partner with? Let us work with our local correspondent to look around for this information. And then, to cut the long story short, it was something that happened 4 to 5 years ago, but it happened in Luya, Kenya, the borders of Mbale in the Kenyan side. And it wasn't because Arsenal failed to win the Premier League. Rather, it was a gentleman who committed suicide dressed in a Premier League jersey of Arsenal. So, such information that comes from local vicinities, we partner with media agencies in these local vicinities, primarily radio stations, to help us, give us the necessary information we want, but also we look for expert opinions on particular topics, and then the same radio stations that we've partnered with, we sign an MOU with them to have this podcast aired on their local radio station so as to reach to their community as a target audience.
Okay, is what we call ideal and what? And real. So you are discussing, you know what I'm talking about. I have worked with these radio stations, and you don't need to respond to this, but I want you to think about this partnership, how it's going to work. Most radio stations will ask for how do we benefit. I know you're going to say we are creating content for you.
If you critically observed in our budget, we had in a budget for host and distribution.
Yes.
Yes.
But so remember the budget that you have. So let me ask, per podcast distribution, how much per podcast?
Well, about $250.
Per podcast?
Per podcast? No,
yes.
no, 250,000 per podcast.
And how many podcasts if we look at the money that you have? And then how are you going to, you are talking about buying equipment, maybe all the things that you need. You don't need to respond, but think about all these things and how they come into the final product that you want to have. And the other thing, how long is your podcast?
We are planning to make it maybe 30 to 40 minutes. I don't know if that is, okay, we're trying to make it as short as possible because we don't believe, we know people don't want to listen so much, but also it comes back to the reason as to why we are starting this, and maybe something that he didn't mention, we are looking at hosting those local people that are prominent in their areas. That will help us attract listeners on those radio stations, local radio stations.
Yeah, you think about, you're not going to have the entire day. For example, if you do 2 hours, you're not going to find a radio station that is going to give you 2 hours to run. I want you to think about all these things. Because that's money still. If I'm going to give you airtime 2 hours, what does that mean as a radio station? So it's important that you think about that, so that when you go to seek partnerships, all the things are ironed out. The other thing you need to think about, who is going to determine the kind of fact checks that you're going to do. You talked about proximity and all that. Are you going to look at things that are happening in Kampala and you want to know, rather you want the locals to know about those very things in the rural areas, or you find important and specific fact checks that you want the locals to understand. How are you going to determine all of that before you distribute? Think, you're not supposed to respond. Eh?
Thank you. So, as also leaning towards the money bit, like how much money you'd be spending, especially with the idea that you gave us of, Nile Post getting the fact check. You see, you had a correspondent in that region, so paying those people, also paying airtime, it would be a lot of money. I've found there's a lot of misinformation in health in rural communities. And most times when you see individuals who walk around doing those surveys, those like probably Ministry of Health, probably giving out mosquito nets or asking questions about fistula or something, probably doing sexual and reproductive health, you'll find they always find biases that most times health workers don't have time to debunk misinformation. For them, they've come to administer or give medication, that kind of thing. So I would imagine that your link or your contact person would be such organizations that are constantly in rural communities doing certain programs, and that is how you get attached and get money, and also probably free transport if they can, and that's how you get into the rural community. We do a podcast on fact-checking as well, and what we do in that podcast is the first 1 minute is to introduce the podcast, then the other minutes are all fact checks. You'll find a papilloma virus, or you find a podcast on, cancer, manya fact check within the show, right? Within the podcast itself. So you'll find about 5 fact checks within that, and then we speak less. Because while you have information, you need expert information. You could be the expert, but it's better to get it from the expert, you understand? Unless that expert is biased and you have proved that they are biased. But it's best that you can speak, but speak less and give platform to the well-informed guy.
It's a great idea, of course. I think someone struggles to connect a podcast and someone in the rural area. It's a brilliant idea, but you need to earn out that. Because given the budget you have, in case I give you the 5 million, and I tell you, I need 5 radio stations, and each radio station will, and that is the incompetent radio station that will take 200 UGX per podcast. That means you don't have any money for human resource. You don't have any money for whatever you've budgeted for. So it's a brilliant idea, but you need to refine it more in terms of the product and the target audience. I wish you well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ijo and the lady. Very well done. How are we? Is it getting heated? Is it getting heated and more interesting? Well, because of time, our next group is Feli's group. I hope you guys are ready. And then after Feli, we'll have the last person, and then the judges can call it a wrap. So Feli and your group, you're welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is Kevin Githuku. I'm here with Feli's group. Feli is performing another task, but we are a team, and Tracy are the technical team. So today we bring Migrant Check, chatbot, and page. And for context, Migrant Check, chatbot, and page will be hosted in a website called Migrant Narratives Africa. Give me Migrant Narratives Africa. So ladies and gentlemen, this is Migrant Narratives Africa. I work here as a managing editor and a founder, and I work with Feli and Tracy. So what we do, we are a digital publication that prides itself in giving migrants an opportunity to tell the migrant narratives, to tell their own stories, to tell their own narratives. So please scroll down on the About Us section. I want to show you how I'm connecting this. Up to the mission and vision, please. Our mission, I can't see it here. Okay, there. So our mission is to bridge the gap of misrepresentation of migrants communities by empowering them through providing a platform, which we have done, for them to authentically share their narratives and reclaim their stories. And our vision is to correct misrepresented migration narratives. Master that one. Now let's go back to the presentation. So what's the problem here? The problem statement, as you can see, there is a lot of misrepresentation of migrant communities in Uganda here, but in Africa at large. I've had the privilege to be in several African countries and out, and I can tell you there's a big, big problem. In fact, I'll show you some statistics later. So as a migrant, and most of you having been migrants, whether rural to urban, you might have had several words like, oh, this and this is here to take this and this opportunity, so and so is here to grab this and that. So these are issues that breed xenophobia. For example, what happened in South Africa, I think it was 2019, shortly before the COVID-19, and so on and so forth. So next. Our proposed solution is Migrant Narratives. Africa proposes a migrant check chatbot and a page. Now, if you looked at our page, you realize we don't have a page for migrant check. That's why today, we thank God we have the opportunity to incorporate that. And what we'll do, we'll also incorporate this chatbot in all our social media platforms, including having, of course, an automated one attached to WhatsApp and Telegram, which most of you can access. The chatbot shall be trained to have immediate responses and queries about migration using NLP. The IT people know natural language processing. Next. Yeah, so of course it will also be on our website. It's Migrant Check, and the page works by providing timely information through debunking and countering misinformation surrounding migration. Next. Let's continue. Yeah, why is this important? The goal is to foster a more informed, empathetic understanding of migration issues. Of course, we want to have a harmony, a peaceful and harmonious living. I've just talked about xenophobia that happened in South Africa. We have so many wars going around. And don't even start with what happened in Rwanda a couple of years back. Let's go on. Our target audience, the migrant community, host communities, nationals, policymakers, international bodies, NGOs, journalists, and media organizations. Let's continue. Existing solutions, Debunk Media Initiative is already debunking news. So for us, we come in to collect, to specifically focus on the migration niche, but and the others, our unique selling points are focused on migration. I've already talked about that. Quizzes, chatbot, conversations, explainers, where we shall do articles, short videos, and of course we shall have expert opinions. Next, implementation plan. That's our timeline, about 5 months. We are looking at research, platform development, content creation, launch, and M&D. Next. Resources needed, IT specialists, fact checkers like Debunk, migration experts, development partners, and some money, 2,000. The impact, media literacy, I know that. First, our budget is $2,000, I did mention, but we haven't broken it down as of now, and this is the reason. One, we've had 2 days to do this exercise, and not having it as an excuse, but we needed to be very sure, because it's a critical issue. Remember, we already have an existing project, so we are bringing this on top of an existing project, so we needed to just be sure with our IT specialists what will go where, So, but they gave us a rough estimate of 2,000, which I've put there. So USD.
What's the name of your IT specialist?
we've worked with one based at Monitor Publications. She's called Grace. She's in charge of developing the Monitor. Maybe what I didn't mention is we also do some work there with Feli as journalists, but also this is our initiative. And also we look forward to, I did mention in our partnerships, Debunk and MCI, so we know we have many IT specialists here.
So what is a chatbot? I want you to help my mom understand how that is going to work, that chatbot system.
Right. So a chatbot, or in our case, the chatbot system that we are proposing today is a platform that will be attached to our website, but also will be available on all our social media platforms. And what this platform does, it uses natural language processing. It's like a human being. You ask it a question, it responds immediately. But it will not only be waiting for your question, which we will have trained our team of experts to feed information that will already be on the website page. That's why we say a chatbot, migrant check chatbot and page. Yeah, so ideally it's a platform that will give you timely, and we know Debunk initiative did have, I think still has one. So ours is specifically about migration, and we feed information. There's a lot of trainings that will have to be done. It's an artificial intelligence source, basically.
I will let, I think, Bella ask questions around chatbot, because they have one, and you know how it works very well. So please.
Thank you. I think my question would be around sustainability. How are you going to sustain after the $5 million or the $2,000? For instance, our chatbot takes up probably 600,000 plus per month for maintenance. So I just want to know your sustainability plan. But also the other thing is that chatbot, what are the features? So if you could mention some of the features that are there. For instance, if I get to the chatbot, how do I open? How do I access? What information is available? Then I saw something around immediate responses on queries about migration using natural language processing. Is this related to large language models? Like, having broader websites where you source from and then putting that information within your chatbot? Or are you getting this information from your own sources, gathering this research, and then putting it on the chatbot for access? Because if we say immediate responses, fast information is also another way misinformation could spread. Yeah, I mean, you've seen community notes on Twitter, so they do fast response, but I also think there's a way it's been tailored to sieve out a lot of information. Yeah.
Technical person, kindly give me the sustainability model. Maybe let me just start with that as I'm thinking through the rest. So this is what we have, training and capacity building. Here we have collaborations with media houses, institutions of higher learning, CSOs, to train them on debunking migration narratives at a reasonable fee. Our second model is to introduce a paywall at some point where our prime content at a much later stage will have to be monetized. I think those of you who read the Daily Monitor, you've probably seen the paywall. It's not all over all the content, it's on specifics. Then we also have partnerships, of course, with similar interests like Debunk, like what we are doing today. We are seeking partnerships. Internships and fellowships here will be for human resource. Basically, we'll get interns who will continue to help us, even beyond the money is done. They're gaining the knowledge, we are gaining the content based on what we've trained them. So it's a win-win. Then advertisements, remember we are a digital publication already. We are on X, we are everywhere, and we have big following, I can tell you that. So we have a good platform to do adverts. We've not yet started, it's something that we are working on. And we'll have a page to donate. So this is our sustainability model as of now, but we'll continue learning more and taking more advice from the team. Now, on the other question you asked about natural language processing. So definitely we are not the experts, we are not the know-it-all. I did mention that we are partnering with experts in migration field, and I did mention that we have some people who already are doing what we are doing, for example, Debunk, but also we have international agencies. We have IOM for migration, that's the UN body for migration. We have UNHCR, and so on and so forth. So it is, what the chatbot will do is basically, with the help of the IT expert, is to pick information, credible information from IOM. Of course, there are those ones where we have, if we have to subscribe, we'll do it from IOM, from UNHCR, and bring it here and show that according to UNHCR, ABCD, according to IOM, ABCD. So that basically we are not really the custodians of information, but we are like a channel for people to access that information from. And we make it easier because now for migrants, well, if a migrant today want to get some information, they'll go to maybe UNHCR and there's a lot of information, but ours is specific and will be tailored to their needs.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Akulo and team. Very well done. I'm hoping that whatever comes out from the judge is good news. And our final presentation from, where is this man? Our final presentation is coming from Solomon Sargon. Remember, I had a technical glitch earlier, and I think it's been rectified, but I don't seem to see him. Solomon, wherever you are, the floor is yours right now. Please, 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 please. Is he around, or he's left? now, the long awaited, the one and only, the last presenter, Solomon, you're welcome.
Thank you for that warm welcome. My name is Solomon once again, and I'm here to share with you my solution. We all know that misinformation, first of all, misinformation is just any information that is biased, that is not true, first of all, and has certain purposes behind it. Okay? Now, as I said earlier, that we are approaching the season in Uganda where a lot of misinformation, a lot of fake news goes around the country. I remember in the last elections that happened, we were all on tension. Who is taking it? Who is taking it? And news was spreading very fast. And if you are to look, this information is first of all spread via the media, via radio stations, via media houses, via newspapers. And I have not come to reinvent the wheel. I have come to twist it a bit, especially about elections. We all know that this news is presented in a way that it is like a media house. It's like news. Someone can, next slide please. Someone can present their information and it is easily believable, and yet it's not true and it's not factual. What we want to do, we want to combat this misinformation and disinformation. How? First of all, using the same channels, using the media. There is no way I can do away with journalists if I speak about the media. And if you are to analyze well, why is this misinformation spreading a lot? One, we are going to do capacity building, especially for journalists, those that create, even those that create content. I don't want to call them content creators because it's a bit, we all have a different perception about content creators, but we are all content creators. And what we want to do is disseminate this information faster than the misinformation. Hallelujah. Yeah, if the misinformation runs faster, we want the correct and facts to run even faster. That is our goal. And how to create this information? First of all, we all know that Uganda, it is no longer a secret that only young people are taking the biggest portion in the population of Uganda, and we want to craft this information in a way that it's consumed in the shortest time possible, but still has debunks the wrong narratives, especially about the elections, what's happening. Yeah, we want to put the facts into the people's faces, even when they've not asked. For me, when I want to check out something, maybe I've heard something, something is happening in Arua, I will go first to the X account of maybe Nile Post, or maybe the website, maybe I'll go and check a few on the monitor. Yeah, but now, have you ever thought about a platform that is entirely speaking about elections, that is entirely giving facts about elections, whether they are voting today or tomorrow, or they are done with voting? We want to give this information to the masses, whether they've asked for it or not. Hallelujah. I want us to go, so these are the objectives, of course, related to elections. I've already told you about that. The next slide, please. Yeah, of course, we'll create short videos. We will leverage on social media. We'll collaborate with radio stations and a few media houses here and there. Of course, journalists need to build their capacity. They need to, we will come up with a curriculum or syllabus that we will teach these journalists, especially about media literacy, verification, fact-checking, and some things related to that, such that we, if misinformation is moving faster, if we build the capacity of the journalists and the media houses, I believe this can be a solution. What is the impact of misinformation, especially to a country like Uganda? One, it undermines democratic processes. That is when we will all... Okay. Yeah, the budget is in the description. I think it's not in the slides, but our target audience, the journalists, the media houses, and yeah, and you, the person, you. Yes.
Okay, could you briefly talk about this budget and compare it with what we have? Because we have 5M UGX. And talk about your figures.
Well, of course, in the resources that I need, I will need personal, I'll need human resource, I'll need, of course, I will not be working alone. I'll have a team. Content creation and dissemination.
Talk about the figures.
Yes. Social media boosting, verification fees, the equipment, and according to my budget, my total is actually 130 US dollars.
How much in UGX?
That's about 400 million. Yeah.
Okay. 400 million UGX.
Yes.
Take me back to the innovation that you were talking about. What is the innovation?
As I mentioned earlier, I have not come to reinvent the wheel, but I have come to give you another angle. I spoke that this information and misinformation spreads faster. And now what I have come to do, I and my team have come to do, we want to create content that is debunking this
Yes,
false
Mr. Solomon
Yes, please.
Chisame, that debunker is already doing. And we want to see something extra that has not been in existence, something that is adding on what is already existing to combat misinformation and disinformation. It is a good initiative, and even if you don't work alone, you can partner with the Debunk to achieve this, especially misinformation and disinformation around elections is very key. But then my concern is, you also agree with me that there is no innovation. Yet, we want to support an innovator, because what is there is already being done. And now that we still have a lot of misinformation and disinformation, we want new knowledge that is in execution. So do you see where we differ now? Do you see where we differ?
First of all, I want to disagree that there is, you said that there is someone already. I want you to give me maybe an example of maybe a platform that is talking purely about elections and nothing else. About elections only, whether we are voting, whether it's the voting year or not, yes. That is how unique.
You are very right. But what you are doing, I am saying, and you need me to, I need you to convince me. What you are doing, platforms like Debunk are already doing it. And they give me an extra. They do election, they'll do everything, they'll do everything. Do you get the point? And then you are limited to politics and elections, and they're already doing that. But they are giving me an extra of health. You get my point? So, the X factor is not there. And you should convince me that you have the innovation and an X factor, so that I don't give money to Debunk that is serving in the health sector. They are serving us in the transport sector. They are serving us everywhere. And then I say I should scale down to elections and look at elections alone. You see? So it's not a matter of disagreeing. It's a matter of looking at the bigger picture. Talk to us.
Yes, yes, they could be serving you whatever, an extra. But this is my work. I mean,
yes, it's your work. Convince me that I should not give these guys money to even do more fact checks in the different sectors, and I give money to you who is going to do the same thing and even be limited to one thing, elections.
Yeah, what you're calling a limitation is actually my strength, because I want to focus on the elections. I want to focus to give information to people. Maybe someone wants to vote, but they do not know the processes. Some people are being told, just get a national ID and you'll be able to vote. Some people are being lied to. They have, well, the information may not be, they could be giving them true information, but it's this. I mean, it's not enough, yeah? So for me, what I want to do, if someone wants information about elections, they'll come to my platform. I'll be purely speaking about elections.
Solo, thank you. I love the passion that you show and energy. Talking about the platform that you want to create. You talk about sharing information faster than the fake claims or false information. And I'm wondering how you're going to do that. Because I'll be home, and what I will do, I will create something around maybe the opposition. So it's going to be very hard for you to know what kind of false information that I'm creating. And through your presentation, you're saying you want to make sure that you provide information that is accurate faster than the false information. And I don't get it. I know it is good to have a central place where you are only providing information on the electoral processes in this country. And I can tell you there are so many people willing to listen to you. The EC here would definitely welcome the idea. And still we can do something around that. I want you to think about what ways or innovative ways that you can create around the electoral processes. First is to start with the website that you're talking about. You create a website that has most of the information that we need to know about these things. But also remember, the EC has a website that explains for example, the roadmap, everything has been put on this platform. So that if I'm to create any false information around the roadmap or candidates, what they are required or registration, it's already there. Though it may not be available to each and everyone. So your platform should be in position to make sure that everyone gets this information. How are you going to do that? Just think about it, but also what other ways, creative ways, are you going to make sure that I access this information, but also counter misinformation around the election and the electoral processes. So it's something to think about, not really to respond. But I love that that's your niche, that's something that you want to do, which is a good thing. Thank you.
I'll keep mine very brief. We are interested in this topic as well as Debunk. So in case you want to partner further, we could talk about that. Also something to think about is pre, post, and during elections. So you've mentioned pre, if someone wants to, vote, if, they don't know what to do. There's also information around, I can go and try to vote and then I find my name in the registrar, yet I didn't, include my name. What do you do in that circumstance, right? As a fact checker. What is missing now that the Electoral Commission, like you mentioned, doesn't have on their website? Of course, it's an authority, but like we mentioned earlier, while fact-checking, there's biases, right? Even experts and authorities can be biased due to different reasons. They're not non-partisan and all of these things. So what is missing now, what missed in the previous elections from different media organizations? So that's a lot of research for you to do and say, if I am pitching myself, I'm coming from this point of probably media literacy, or I'm going to create different toolkits for journalists. I'm going to create, different things that journalists can use in the election period, and that's how you pitch and get money. Also post after the election, what information do people need to understand? You remember the violence that took place, in November, that time, what information spread that could have escalated the situation, that you could debunk we call them pre-banks, that you could, work on before the elections and before the chaos, and make sure to partner with different organizations, media entities, Media Focus on Africa, and make sure that this information is moving out there and not just kept as research or as paperwork or as a website, right? Like information someone or Mutuawasi can actually listen to, understand, and activate on. Yeah.
From the time we started until now, from my end and from the judges and from MCI and from Debunk, so far we are saying thank you for the time you took and you spent into your pitches, your presentations. Thank you. And I'll congratulate you on this first step that you have done. And for now, we are going into our 5 All right. And now that we are through with all our presentations, our judges have just alerted me. They are so ready. They have been calculating and putting everything together while we have been presenting. And I'd like to call upon every one of us that's out there, that you have been part of this whole process. You have presented. You have been a cheerleader. Please come back. And let's finalize the process, because right about now, we are going to announce our winners and give away the prizes that we have been working for. So please come back and let's get started.
So as we wait for someone who is going to take us through this process, I want to thank each and every